Oh, yeah. Is it Tuesday already? We got a fun week today this week as Thursday is the Game Awards, and we're talking about what could be the biggest announcement for a Star Wars video game in probably decades. Like, we're talking Old Republic today. We're talking about the KOTOR remake, possibly a KOTOR 2 remake, and what could eventually become the next saga in the Star Wars universe. But we have more than just that, because Superman actor David Cornsweet wants to come to Star Wars. And not only that, he's in talks with Lucasfilm to come to Star Wars. We might be getting a Mandalorian and Grogu brand new trailer this week. And Daisy Ridley has given an update about her thoughts on the Hunt for Ben Solo movie. Yeah, that's right. We got a lot to get into and not a lot of time. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? We got a fun one today. We're talking Hunt for Ben Solo. We're talking Old Republic, Revan, Nihilus, you name it. We got it. Malik. We got some pretty crazy stuff to talk about today. The Game Awards are on Thursday night, and the rumors just keep on coming that we are going to be getting a massive announcement when it comes to a Star Wars video game. And all signs are pointing to that being an Old Republic game, whether that be the KOTOR remake or KOTOR 2 that came out of nowhere just about yesterday, or maybe even this morning. Either way, now we're talking about Superman joining the Star Wars universe, and not actually Superman, but the actress who plays him, and a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer this week, which I did not see coming. But here we are. It's crazy. It's literally like every single day I wake up and I'm like, is there going to be enough news to talk about on a live stream? And the answer is always yes. Somehow, some way, the Star Wars news just keeps getting bigger and better, and I don't understand it. Like, we're getting another Mando trailer already? How is that even possible? So let's first off start the stream the only way we know how, by saying hi to everybody in the chat. Shall we? Let's start there. Javier, what's up? Dave that loves Star Wars, how we doing? Brandon Baker in the house. King Shadow, what is up? I Haja in the building. Holly, what is up? Another Mike who loves Star Wars. Great name. How we doing? John Groom in the house. Navarro, how we doing? Ron, what is up? Darth Plagueis lives in the building. Theories of the Force, what is up? Skywalker Academy in the house. Carry on, what is up? WV Grad, how we doing? Starship 66 in the house. All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
So I think first we got to start off with this video game news. We'll get to the Daisy Ridley stuff with the Hunt for Ben Solo. We'll get to the Mandalorian trailer and all that. But we got to start with this video game news because it happens on Thursday. The Video Game Awards are on Thursday. And we're getting a big old announcement for Star Wars, whether that's Jedi 3, the third installment of the Cal Kestis game, or KOTOR remake, or something completely different. Maybe Battlefront 3. I don't know. Either way, we're getting a big old announcement for a Star Wars video game. And we got some pretty wild reports that suggest that this will be our first introduction to the Old Republic in the canon of Star Wars. Because up until this point, the Old Republic, for the most part, has been legends. Certain characters, like Darth Revan, like Darth Bane, they have been mentioned in canon novels and I guess, books. But by books, I don't mean like novels. I mean like the picture book. Like, what are they called? Like this thing. The visual dictionaries, yes, like that stuff. Like Darth Revan and other characters from the Old Republic are mentioned in those, but their stories haven't been fleshed out in canon, at least not yet. So if this is indeed the Old Republic canon remake, this is probably the biggest news that has happened maybe ever in the history of the universe. No, but it's the biggest news we've had in a very long time, because going to the Old Republic changes quite a bit of the timeline and where the next saga could take place. So let's start this stream with a poll. If you haven't smashed a freaking like on this stream, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. But let's start it out with the poll. Which game do you hope, and again, rebellions are built on hope, is announced? There we go. Announced on Thursday at the Video Game Awards. Jedi 3, which I guess is the safe bet. You know, they've been working on it for a couple years. It's Cal Kestis. It's the third installment of the trilogy. It's the safe bet, okay? It's the safe bet. Not my personal favorite, but it's the safe bet. The next one is going to be KOTOR. Now, KOTOR remake that was announced over 4 years ago. The next one's going to be new to the list, KOTOR 2. The sequel to the KOTOR game that came out in 2003, 4, possibly 5. When did the KOTOR 2 come out? I think it was 2004, but I could be wrong. And the final one is going to be Battlefront 3, just because, you know, I want it to be Battlefront 3 so bad. Okay. So tell me in the chat, what do we think this announcement is going to be on Thursday? Which game do you think is coming out? And while you do that, let's put that over there. Put that over there. Okay, that's good. Let's do this. This is the whole big breaking news about the Knights of the Old Republic 2 and how this just came late into the game. Take a look at this. So, there we go. Fan favorite video game reportedly getting a remake. A beloved Star Wars game is apparently getting a remake, and it may lead to even a better game than the original. And this comes because KOTOR 2 was pushed out quickly, and they didn't give the developers enough time to finish the game. So we'll get to that in a sec. But the history of Star Wars is quite extensive, thanks to decades of films, shows, books, and video games. Although the movies are arguably the center of the Star Wars universe, the other media have been extremely successful at keeping people interested in the sci-fi franchise. For the most part, I would say normie fans watch the movies. Some normie fans watch the live-action shows. If you're watching the animated stuff, if you're reading the books, if you're reading the comics, if you're playing the video games, you're not a normie fan, okay? You're a nerd. Take it. Just accept it, you know? It's great to be a nerd. There's nothing better. But if you're watching that other stuff, if you're reading the books, if you're doing the other things, welcome to the people who love Star Wars. And it's great to have you. Now, in all seriousness, if you've played through these KOTOR games, you're probably a big old Star Wars fan / nerd. So normie fans aren't following those stories of the books and the video games specifically, or even the animated stuff for the most part. They think it's children's shows because it's animated. So, yes, the movies are the center of the universe, but still there's all this other stuff that adds to it. Gaming in particular, hang on, we got a super chat. Hang on! Pause the live stream. Someone sent me money.
This is where the fun begins.
Okay. Darth Plagueis lives a very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, I'll take any video game at this point, but when do you think we will actually see an Old Republic movie or show? I agree with you. I'll take any game at this point. When do I think we'll actually see it? 2030 at the earliest. And that sounds like a million years away, but let me break the news to you guys. 2025 is almost over. We're in the last month. You know how December is the last month of the year? And then there's this thing on December 31st. Actually, 30th? How many days are in? 31st. Right? Into the January 1st. That's called New Year's, because there's a new year. So that means that 2026 is like a couple weeks away. So we are only 4 years, give or take a few weeks, away from 2030. So it's not that far. 4 years is like nothing. So The reason I say 2030, though, is because when you look at the current slate of Star Wars content, if the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is to be a trilogy, then it will run from 2026, 2028 to 2030. That will be the 3-movie release schedule. Even if it's not a trilogy, you have the Mandalorian and Grogu in 2026, Starfighter in 2027, either the Rey movie or Dawn of the Jedi in 28, and the other one being in 29, and at some point Dave Filoni's Mandoverse crossover movie in those years as well, leading you to 2030. So at the very least, at the very earliest, I suppose, 2030 is where I would say we will see our first ever KOTOR or even just Old Republic movie or show. Yeah. It sounds so far, but it's really not. It's really not. It's only 4-ish years, give or take. But I appreciate the super chat. I really, really do. But now that I've been so rudely interrupted, let me get back to this article here. Gaming, in particular, has done a fantastic job of this by touching on different genres like RPGs, first-person shooters, and narrative-driven experiences that deepen the lore of the beloved universe. Also, when it comes to multiplayer games, such as Battlefront 2, you can have Star Wars fans playing together. You can have the community enjoying Star Wars together. The best way to do it. Yes, I love me some Jedi Survivor, some Jedi Fallen Order. Don't get me wrong. The story is great. I love me some narrative story, but there's nothing that beats playing a multiplayer Star Wars game with people who love Star Wars. There's nothing that beats it. So I have seen that Battlefront 2 has gone on this crazy explosion over the last couple of weeks here, where it's breaking all of its streaming records, which is kind of crazy. In December of 2025, it's breaking all the records. So maybe Thursday is going to be a Battlefront 3. Possibly. But I doubt it. Okay. However, some of these games created their own franchises that have been abandoned. One of the most beloved Star Wars sub-franchises is the Knights of the Old Republic, also known as KOTOR, because, you know, Knights of the Old Republic, KOTOR. The remake of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic has been in the works for years, 4 to be exact, and now, 4 years now, and there is hope that we may see it emerge from the shadows at the Game Awards later this year, and by later this year, it means Thursday night, this Thursday. Nothing has been confirmed on that front, but it is believed to be actively in the works, despite speculation that it was killed when it changed developers. With that said, Knights of the Old Republic may not be the only remake that Disney is cooking up. And this is where this news that just blew my mind. You're going to make a KOTOR 2 before you finish KOTOR 1? Take a look at this. According to new reports from reputable journalist Stephen, Disney is already working on a remake of KOTOR 2 in some capacity. This news comes from depositions as part of a false advertising lawsuit against Lucasfilm Games and Aspire Media, which promised to include cut content in a re-release of KOTOR 2 that never materialized. So somebody sued Lucasfilm and Aspire Media because in the KOTOR 2 re-release, they didn't put in the cut content, the deleted scenes, if you will, of the game. And then they got sued for it. Crazy. Lucasfilm Games VP Douglas Riley revealed that the company spoke with Aspire about a remake of KOTOR 2, codenamed Juliet. This remake would incorporate the aforementioned cut content into KOTOR 2, according to Riley. So the reason that they didn't put that deleted scenes, the deleted content from this game, is because they're going to remake it and put those scenes into the game. So they didn't want to, I guess, ruin it? I'm not too sure. But it does come along with the news that this game was at some point, or maybe still is today, in active development. As of March of 2025, so earlier this year, this project was on the company's roadmap, though not with Aspire. This was a pretty significant as the first game isn't out, and we had no idea how close we actually are to seeing the light of day. It sounds like the remake of KOTOR 2 is more conceptual. It's not actually happening as of yet, as the focus is on Mad Head Games to finish the first Knights of the Old Republic game. Either way, this project would be huge. Knights of the Old Republic 2 is largely viewed as unfinished due to its scrapped content, the cut content we just talked about, resulting in rushed storytelling and unsatisfying threads. So as I mentioned earlier, when this game dropped, it was the follow-up to one of the greatest Star Wars games of all time, and it was very popular for the most part. People were kind of upset because it wasn't a finished game because they pushed it out too quickly. So now all that scrapped content, the cut content, will be in the remake of the game. Supposed remake of the game. What's really interesting about this is not only have we not gotten an update for the KOTOR remake in 4 years, but so many people just think it's dead because we haven't heard anything about it. So this gives me hope that not only is it not dead, but it's very much in development because they're not only planning on doing the first one, but they're also planning on doing the second one, which is pretty cool. So that's the news. Because of a lawsuit about the re-release of KOTOR 2, we get the news that not only is there still in development the remake of the original Knights of the Old Republic, canon version of it too, but that they also, at least by March of 2025, earlier this year, had KOTOR 2 on their roadmap, planned to be created at some point as a sequel to the first KOTOR remake, which is really cool to me because that really emphasizes the fact that this KOTOR remake that hasn't got an update in 4 years is likely still happening and could get a big old update on Thursday night. Imagine, after 4 years of silence, they come out on Thursday night at the Game Awards and go, hey, were you looking for this? And just drop some gameplay for a remake of the Knights of the Old Republic, a canon remake of the Knights of the Old Republic. It would be so freaking cool. Just give us Revan running around with a lightsaber. That's all I'd need, honestly. Like, you can keep all the stuff with Bachelor a secret for now. Keep all the story that maybe not everybody knows yet. Keep it a secret for now. Just give us a little tease. Just give us something, some sign of life, anything. That would be pretty awesome. And if we were lucky, it would be like coming in 2026 because they've been working on this game for over 4 years now. And yeah, it takes a long time to make a video game, but let's be honest, 4 years and we got nothing yet? So with that being said, with the news that a KOTOR 2 remake is at some form of development over there at Mad Games. What was it called? Mad Head Games or something? Mad Head Games. Crazy. Which is apparently a part of Saber and what is it? Saber Studio, whatever it's called, that's working on the game. Yeah. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Huh. So, with that being said, what do you guys think the chances are that on Thursday night we get gameplay or a trailer of just any sort of the Knights of the Old Republic remake? Thoughts? Thoughts? Can we have KOTOR 3? Well, they'll have to remake the first two, but I mean, maybe. Possibly. I don't really care about either. That is a big thing I've been seeing online. Star Wars fans and Star Wars fans that are also video game fans are very far and few between, I suppose. Yes, there are hundreds of thousands of video game fans who are also Star Wars fans. The crossover is enormous. But you're talking about billions of Star Wars fans. it's not really like everybody is guaranteed to be a video game fan. That's why when you look at the numbers for like Battlefront 2, it's like 300,000 people are playing all at once. That's a lot of people, but when it comes to the Star Wars fandom, that's a fraction of the amount. Yeah, a very small fraction at that. I hope it's not the digital card game that they announced. That would be lame. True. Okay, that you bring up a great point. RG brings up a great point because as of this morning, Star Wars posted this. This came from 3 hours ago. We are excited to announce that we are working with 036 Studio and CCG Lab to develop a brand new digital collectible card game where players can battle across Star Wars galaxy. This to me screams Pokemon cards. I don't know if it's just me, but it screams Pokemon cards or some sort of collectible type thing. Maybe like a what's it called? Like a Magic the Gathering or something like that. But they're trying to do it in Star Wars because, let's be honest, Pokemon sells probably billions of dollars of merchandise every year just from Pokemon cards. So maybe Star Wars is trying to tap into that, which, I mean, maybe that's a good idea. I don't collect Pokemon cards, so I wouldn't know the first thing when it comes to that. However, it is still a pretty big announcement. As of 3 hours ago, they announced this big thing. And I hope this is not the game that they're talking about for Thursday night. That would be horrible. But no other scooper, leaker, reporter, whatever you want to call them, has suggested that this is what's happening. They're all saying that it's either KOTOR related or a Jedi 3 related, and it's not this. So, big news about Eclipse, please. I seriously doubt it's Eclipse based. Star Wars Eclipse dropped that great trailer. Literally looked like a trailer for a movie. I don't know, 4 years ago or something like that. And since then, absolutely nothing. Zip. Nada. And I'd love me some Star Wars Eclipse, but it seems highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. Scoopers can be wrong. True. Scoopers can be wrong and have been wrong time and time again. That's why I always say take it with a giant grain of salt. However, you're talking about a game that's been in development for 4+ years. For both I guess the Jedi game's only been in development for 2.5, 3 years, something like that. Whatever it is. And this doesn't sound like a video game to me. Yes, it may be digital because it says digital right in the title, but it's a brand new digital collectible card game. Sounds like a mobile app to me. Sounds like Pokemon Go meets Star Wars. Yeah. Indeed. So that's the news when it comes to the video game side of Star Wars. It's become chaos. So many people have been begging for Old Republic content for years, pretty much since Disney bought the company in 2012. They've been begging for Old Republic content because of those two games, because of Knights of the Old Republic and Knights of the Old Republic 2, I guess, and Star Wars The Old Republic. But because of that one specific story, people have fallen in love with that spot in the timeline and really want to see characters like Darth Revan, because I know so many of you have Darth Revan in your top 10 characters all time. He's not yet in mind because I'm waiting for him to be, explored in canon a little bit. But I know so many of you love that character, and it's just because of those games. Yeah, there's comics and stuff that goes along with it, but still, it's because of those games that introduced you to that character, and so many people want those to not only be remade, but introduced into the canon timeline of Star Wars too, which is what will happen when those games are remade. So, all that being said, tell me in the comments, what do you think is going down on Thursday night? What game for Star Wars will be announced? If I was a gambling man, which I am not, I would put all my money on KOTOR Remake. Jedi 3, it's likely to come out in 2028, 2027. It started production after Star Wars Jedi Survivor came out, which was in 2023. So you're talking about Knights of the Old Republic announced in 2021, and Jedi 3 announced in 2023. So it's got a 2-year head start. So I would assume that it's going to be KOTOR remake based and not Jedi 3. However, the more popular theory is that Cal Kestis is, yes, probably coming over to live action, and they streamlined this Jedi 3 game to get it done as quickly as possible. The problem I have with that is that they might rush the game, and the third installment of this Cal Kestis story might be rushed too quickly, and it might not be as good as we want it to be, which I certainly hope doesn't happen. The story needs to stay as good, if not better, than the first 2 installments of the trilogy, and that's not always a very easy thing to accomplish, especially when that Jedi Survivor storyline was like, holy crap, mind-bending plot twist left and right awesomeness. So I'm hoping that it's a KOTOR remake. That's my dream. But you guys tell me in the chat. You tell me in the chat, Star Wars video game, The Sid Adventures.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Incorrect.
No. No. I'm taking KOTOR money line. All right, deal. Deal. Let's do it. Oh, I should have done that. I'm an idiot. So I've been sort of messing with all these credits that you guys have in the chat because you guys can gamble in the chat and all that stuff. And there's different things you can do with the credits. And one of the things you can do is actually bet on things. So I was like, I'm thinking like for The Mandalorian, for when that movie comes out, like betting on who will show up, who won't show up. Like, will Thrawn be in the movie? And then you take it like, you bet a certain amount of credits on whether he will be in the movie or not, and you lose those credits if he is, win those credits if he's not, type deal. But I have not set that up yet, so it would have been great for today's live stream because we could bet on what's going to be the big old announcement on Thursday night. If I can figure it out by Thursday's live stream, then we'll definitely be doing that, betting on what comes first. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that. Thrawn killed Sid, right? I hope so. If that's a storyline, I get to. How about a Tales where it's just killing Sid? 100%. I'd be in for that. Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to them spending like $500 million on that either. Like, make it as good as possible, you know? Yeah. KOTOR remake I'm hoping for, but I don't want to get my hopes way up because we've been waiting for years and years. Well, if Star Wars fans are anything, it's patient. Can't even say it with a straight face. We are patient, for the most part. I mean, you had to wait 16... I didn't have to. I wasn't alive yet. But you had to wait 16 years from Return of the Jedi to The Phantom Menace. That's some patience. You had to wait 10 years for Revenge of the Sith to The Force Awakens. Did I say something wrong there? My brain sounds like it broke there. Either way, you had to wait a decade or more in between trilogies. And we've had to wait actually 6 years now since the last Star Wars movie even came out. Granted, we've had a ton of content since then. Live action shows, animated shows, Tales stuff, and whatever. But still, patience in 2025 has kind of gone out the window. So we'll see. We're talking about it being 4 years since we got the Knights of the Old Republic announcement, and we're losing our minds. And you had to wait 10 years for the next Star Wars movie. Yeah. Tales of the Death, and it's just multiple death scenes like Shaak Ti and Sid. That sounds like something I would create, isn't it? Why is my camera doing that? Whoa. What is happening? That was weird. Okay. I bet for Ezra to show up since Zeb is in the film. Ezra comes in and warns everybody about Thrawn's return. Well, we'll talk about the Mandalorian and Grogu in a second here. However, I knew the Revan trailer was fake as soon as I saw it. Well, it wasn't fake. It was just a teaser to announce the game was in development. But, yeah, I mean, it wasn't like gameplay footage or anything like that. No, it was not. All right, before we get to the Mandalorian and Grogu stuff about the new trailer that could be coming this week, let's talk about this. So, David Cornsweet, who played Superman in last summer's Superman movie. Did anybody watch that Superman movie? Give me a 1 into the chat if you watched Superman by James James Gunn. James Gunn, starring David Cornsweet. Now, if this sounds familiar, it's because it is. We've talked about this before and his love for the Star Wars universe because he's a huge Star Wars nerd, which is awesome. But now things have changed. Because at first, it went from him going, oh yeah, I love Star Wars. I'd love to be in Star Wars too. Now he's saying that he is in talks with Lucasfilm to join the galaxy far, far away. So take a look at this. This is coming from a conversation between Jonathan Bailey and David Cornsweet on the Actors and Actors thing. Take a look.
Will either of you have a dream role? Because I think these would seem like dream roles, but as we just spoke about, you're both pretty grounded about them. So is there a role that you would love to play?
I would love to play an X-wing pilot in the Star Wars thing, and I can say that because I've told Lucasfilm, they're aware.
If you do that,
Yeah.
can I play
My R2-D2, my astromech droid in the back?
I'll do it.
Do you have a good
No, I'd love to do that. That's slightly better than I was going to suggest. That I would be like a Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, yeah. I think.
Or like Bar Bar Jinx.
Well, the good thing about the astromech droid is it's probably mostly booth work. You just have to come in and do the beeps and the boops.
Well, you know I love a beep. I'm a bit nervous about the boobs.
Yeah, well, they'll come. We'll set you up with somebody.
So let's rewind here for a second. And as we do, let me put up a poll in the chat here. He's now had talks with Lucasfilm to join Star Wars. Now, this has come to, I guess, a mixed reaction from the Star Wars fandom, as it always does. I mean, when have we ever agreed on anything? But the Superman movie that came out over the summer, it didn't make a lot of money, but for the people who saw it, myself included, I loved it. It's just a fun Superman movie. It's a fun, feel-good, sort of campy version of a Superman character, and it's fun. I thought David did a great job. He looks like Superman, and he's a good actor. Now, the idea of him coming to Star Wars as a pilot, as he suggests, or a Jedi or a Sith or whoever, whatever he wants to be, has sort of divided the fandom yet again. So let me put up this poll. Do you want David Cornsweet in Star Wars? Yes or no? Do you want the Superman actor, David Cornsweet, in the Star Wars universe? And by the way, let's take a look at this poll. What do you hope is going to come out on Thursday at the Game Awards? 41% of you said Jedi 3. 35% of you said the KOTOR remake. 22% said Battlefront 2, and 2% said KOTOR 2, which, I mean, makes sense. Why would they announce a second game when they haven't even released the first game? However, that is pretty interesting. Almost exactly the same when it comes to Jedi 3 and KOTOR remake. 41-36, which is pretty close. So, we shall see. We shall see. I just did the math in my head, and it seems too early to do a Cal Kestis Jedi 3 announcement. They've only been working on the game for 2.5 years. Doesn't seem like they'd have enough to go off of. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. We shall see. But going over to this man, David Cornsweet. Now, interestingly enough, this has sort of happened before. If you think of the previous Superman, Henry Cavill, he was very much a Marvel fan. Big fan of the MCU. And when he stopped playing Superman, so many Marvel fans were like, oh, who can he play in Marvel? How can we bring him over to Marvel? Marvel. And eventually, if you saw Deadpool and Wolverine last summer, spoiler alert, I mean, it's over a year ago, so deal with it, I suppose. Henry Cavill plays the Cavalrine, the Henry Cavill version of Wolverine. And it's pretty cool. I hope he actually gets a real role in the MCU and not just a little cameo like that. That would be kind of whatever. But it did happen. He wanted to come to the MCU, and they put him in the MCU in Deadpool and Wolverine. So could the same happen with this new Superman, David Cornsweet, wanting to join the Star Wars universe, being this huge Star Wars fan? Do you think he will join it? Do you think he will actually be in the Star Wars universe? And if so, who do you want him to play? What project will he show up in? he mentions an X-Wing pilot, which immediately screams to me Star Wars Starfighter. And the fact that he's already in talks with Lucasfilm means that maybe he's already signed something. Maybe he's already been on set of Star Wars Starfighter that's filming right now. Highly unlikely, but not at all possible. Impossible, I should say. But what else? What else in the future could he show up in? Maybe an X-Wing pilot for the New Republic in this Mando-verse trilogy that we think we are getting? Or could he be something else, not a pilot? And I point to this right here. A conversation happened clearly off screen that led Jonathan Bailey into thinking that he was going to say a Jedi. Look at this.
A role that you would love to play.
I would love to play an X.
Just watch this man right here, Jonathan Bailey. Just watch him.
I would love to play an X.
Jedi. A Jedi. Now, if you're making David Cornsweet a Jedi, then things change drastically. Will he be a Jedi in Rey's New Jedi Order? Could he be a Jedi in the Dawn of the Jedi movie? Be one of the first ever Jedi Masters to craft a lightsaber or something? Things become a lot more open-ended if you make him a Jedi instead of just an X-Wing pilot. Because he could show up as an X-Wing pilot anywhere. Could be just like a cameo in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, or I guess not that because it's already been filmed, but you know what I mean. He could show up as a cameo anywhere as an X-Wing pilot. That's not that hard to do. But if we want him to be a main character, if we want him to be an actual character who will last a while, a Jedi is far more likely to survive more than just one battle. X-Wing pilots drop like flies in the Star Wars universe. So the fact that Jonathan Bailey seems to think he wants to be a Jedi makes me think that something happened off screen here. And he's saying X-Wing pilot.
About them. So is there a role that you would love to play?
I would love to play an X-Wing pilot in the Star Wars thing, and I can say that because I've told Lucasfilm, they're aware.
If you do.
And again, he says, I can say that because I've talked with Lucasfilm. And that just makes me think he's signed some NDAs. Because why else would he have to preface it by saying, I can say that? You can say whatever you want, David. You can say whatever you want. Unless you've signed an NDA. Unless you are on the call sheet of a Star Wars Disney production. Say whatever you want. But he says, I can say that because I've had these conversations with Lucasfilm. And the fact that he says that I can be a pilot, and Jonathan Bailey's mouthing the word Jedi, makes me think there's something a little weird going on over here. I got a feeling maybe not within the next couple of years, but maybe 2027, 2028, you'll be seeing David Cornsweet in the Star Wars universe. Maybe 2028. Just because he's going to be Superman in 2027 again in Man of Tomorrow. But either way, this man is coming to Star Wars. He's already had talks with Lucasfilm, and who he might be playing is still a mystery, but what do we think? Might he be good for Revan? He's kind of big for Revan. Like, Revan wasn't this, like, he's bulky and tall. How tall is David Cornsweet? He's got to be at least, 6'3"? I don't know. I don't know how tall he is at all. I was just guessing. But he's pretty big. I mean, he would make, honestly, to me, he'd make a better character that's a bad guy. Like, usually the Sith Lords, not Palpatine specifically, but you look at, like, Vader or even Darth Bane. Like, they're usually, like, jacked out of their minds, power of the dark side type deal. Yeah. Christopher Reeves would have made a great Jedi. That's true. That is true. He would have. Yeah. So, a Rogue Squadron movie. Interesting. There is the Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron film. And it's technically, last we heard, still in development, active development. So if Patty Jenkins is getting a Rogue Squadron film, we don't know when it really takes place in the timeline. He could be an X-Wing pilot in that. There's nothing really drawing fans to a Rogue Squadron movie because who cares? But if you do the same thing you're doing with Starfighter right now, where Ryan Gosling and others, there's this loaded cast that's drawing this crazy amount of attention to the movie. You could do the exact same thing with Superman. Superman is starring in the next Star Wars movie. David Cornsweet is an X-Wing pilot in Rogue Squadron. It's working right now with Starfighter. So many more people are going to go see that movie because of Ryan Gosling. There's no denying that. I don't think he's big enough to play Bane. He's a pretty big man. I mean, maybe he could get even bigger, but yeah. Yeah. I'm going with Corran Horn for David Cornsweet. Interesting. He was an X-Wing pilot turned Jedi Knight in the new Jedi Order, and he also looks like a little bit like Corran, unless he plays a new character. I mean, he could definitely be playing a new character. It's kind of hard to pull from any characters that already exist. I do like that choice, but because we don't know where and when he would even be in the timeline. Yeah. Explore the Force. What's up? Jimmy? Possibly Jimmy. How we doing? He's the same height as Harrison Ford? Interesting. Interesting. The more you know. Yes, and his name is Cornsweet, Corran Horn. Hilarious. It does make sense. We are less than 2 days until the Supergirl trailer? Really? I did not know that. I always thought that Corran Horn's small part in Kenobi was a future setup for his character. He's too old to play Corran in Squadrons, though. Is that actually Corran? Wait. Which character is Corran Horn in Kenobi? Let me look it up. Corran Horn. Okay, I spelled it so incorrectly that Google couldn't help me. There we go. Oh, yeah. The Child. Honestly, if you were to think what would David Cornsweet look like if he was like 10 years old, maybe 9? That's what I would imagine. That's what I would imagine. Interesting. Fearless, what's up? How we doing? So, I mean, maybe. Possibly. I just think it's really cool that for somebody who's that big of a Star Wars nerd, David that is, for the opportunity for him to come into Star Wars as great as an actor as he is that we saw in Superman, I'm all for it. I'm 100% for it, whether he wants to be a Jedi, Sith, X-Wing pilot, or anything in between. I am 100% down. And as you can see in the chat right now, 95% of you say yes, you want to see David Cornsweet in Star Wars. So, Lucasfilm, if you're watching, at least the people who love Star Wars are on board. 95%. That's the most we've agreed on something in a long, long, long time. Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's switch our gears here to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie because this is pretty exciting. And Josh brings up a great point. What are my thoughts on the new leak synopsis for the Mandalorian and Grogu? If it's true, it would be a lot more interesting than the OG leaks, which kind of sucked. Yes. We talked about the leaks a lot last week, but I'll give a very brief recap here. The Mandalorian and Grogu synopsis was leaked because of a German Blu-ray that was leaked. The German Blu-ray was leaked and translated into English, so take it with a giant grain of salt if this is even real or not. And this was the leak itself. This was the Blu-ray. It has this 2-paragraph description, which I'll read very, very quickly. The Empire has been defeated and the remnant of its forces scattered to the far corners of the galaxy, yet some of the former commanders of this dark era still cling to their power and have since become dangerous warlords who continually challenge the peace upheld by the New Republic. To track down and neutralize these cells, Din Djarin, played by Pedro Pascal, together with his apprentice Grogu, who after his Jedi training has joined the Mandalorians, support the new government. Several clues eventually lead them to the planet of Kar Zun, where they not only manage to infiltrate an almost forgotten Imperial facility, but Grogu also discovers an ancient artifact that functions as an amplifier of his abilities. Unable to control these new powers, Grogu becomes the target of Imperial agent who begin preparing a coordinated assault on the New Republic, seeing in the small being their opportunity to destroy the enemy of the Empire in a single strike. So that was the big breaking leak from last week that kind of got the fandom going, because this sounds so much better, as you put it, than the previous leaks, which were just that Embo, the bounty hunter from the Clone Wars, is going to be the main villain of this movie, and it's going to completely be about them rescuing Stinky the Hutt from Embo. The exact same plot as the Clone Wars movie. Yeah. So that sounded horrible. So it's really great to see a different leak that contrasts the first one, or contradicts the first one, and sounds a lot cooler. New planet, ancient artifact, forgotten Imperial facility, Grogu enhancing his abilities, unable to control that. That sounds a lot cooler. Both could be false. So take it with a giant grain of salt. Both could be false. However, there is a lot more to go off of with this leak, and a lot more connections to the original story. Grogu being the most important thing to the remnant of the Empire for Project Necromancer. The fact that Din and Grogu are, yes, going to go work for the New Republic. Why would the New Republic need Stinky the Hutt? There's a lot of flaws in both, I suppose, but still, this one sounds a lot better to me. And this all comes to a head where we might be getting a trailer this week. So take a look at this. This coming from Beyond Reporter, who is pretty good, pretty reliable. A new Mandalorian and Grogu trailer reportedly might arrive online this week. Now, the key words here is online this week. I think the trailer that they're talking about here has already been released. If you look at this, the one we watched on maybe Tuesday last week, so about a week ago, this trailer that we watched that was leaked out from the Zootopia. So this trailer is attached to Zootopia 2, which, by the way, can we take a second? Zootopia 2 had the fourth biggest opening weekend of all time. And you guys sit here and tell me that the Mandalorian and Grogu is not going to make $1 billion? Sorry. Let me rewind for a second. So this is a trailer that was shown before the Zootopia 2 movie. It had to be leaked out because they did not release it publicly yet. Oh my God, how freaking long ago was this? Oh, here we go. So all we have right now is just this, a video of a video. And there are a few new scenes like this. This is Navarro with the Razor Crest coming in and landing. There's a few new scenes. So I honestly think that the trailer that could be dropping this week online is just this. So I don't expect any new scenes. I just expect a updated HD version of this grainy video of a video. Maybe a few new scenes if we're lucky, but I assume that if we're getting a public trailer this week, it's just going to be this one. It'll give us this scene. It'll give us the hopefully a closer look at these ships, and maybe we'll be able to identify them.
Impressive.
This stuff, we'll get at least better look at it with them going down the mountain. And maybe even get to see what planet this is if we're lucky. Yeah, and then Grogu. Wielding the Force all badass like. So hopefully this is just the trailer that gets released publicly. I'd love some new scenes, but I don't want to get my hopes too high. And I think when we're talking about a new Mando trailer this week, this is the one we're going to get because it's already released in select theaters in front of Zootopia 2. So it would make sense that they just release that trailer publicly. So if we do get one this week, which any trailer is a good trailer, it'll likely be that one. Yeah. Indeed. So that's what I think is going to happen with the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. However, we are now almost 5 months away, 5 months and 11 days or something like that, 5 months and 12 days away from this movie. So it's getting really close here. And that's, one, really exciting, but also it leads to more posters, more trailers, and more things to dissect. We'll see very quickly which leak is right, which leak is wrong, and all the things in between because of the new scenes that we get for this movie. Also, the Mandalorian trailer on YouTube just passed 10 million views over the weekend, and this box office columnist, sure, expert Scott Mendelson, no idea who Scott is, but sure, he's an expert, predicts that the Mandalorian and Grogu could be huge when it opens in 2026. Pause that for a second. As he says this, yep, it thus far looks like the Mandalorian and Grogu is selling gee whiz adventure with an adorable agent of chaos, Muppet Gremlin Grogu. And of course, that's what the first 3 seasons were on Disney Plus. They draw you in with the cuteness of Grogu, and then they keep you there with the incredible story. Essentially, Lilo and Stitch, but make it Star Wars. And presuming Jon Favreau knows to make it accessible to those who barely know the show, it would be huge. And that's what's been very important to Jon and Dave as they make new projects, making normie fans who've never seen a single episode of The Mandalorian, never seen a single episode of the Clone Wars or Rebels, making it so they can watch the movie. Same thing they did with the Ahsoka Season 1. You don't have to watch the Clone Wars or Rebels to understand Ahsoka. It would help, but you don't have to. And that's the exact same thing they're doing with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. You don't have to see a single second of the TV show or anything that came before, and it will still make sense. Now, they bring up Lilo and Stitch. And yet again, I bring up the fact that this year, Lilo and Stitch came out at the end of May. Actually, does anybody know the release date? Does anybody know the release date of Lilo and Stitch? Tell me in the comments, or tell me in the chat, because I want to put up a poll here. I want to put up a poll. By the way, 93% of you want David Cornsweet in Star Wars. Do you think The Mandalorian and Grogu will make $1 billion? Oh my God. Yes or no? Yes or no? Lilo and Stitch released on May 23rd of 2025. Okay, May 23rd. Perfect. Thank you. May 23rd, 2025, this year. The Mandalorian and Grogu comes out May 22nd, one day earlier, 2026. Almost exactly a year later. How much money did Lilo and Stitch make again? Wait. How much money did the Lilo and Stitch movie that got so much crap for not being a good remake of the original movie and changing all the characters and doing all that stuff? How much money did that make? Oh, yeah, $1 billion. $1 billion. And I don't know a single person that went and saw that movie. However, you're talking about the exact same thing here. A cute little Grogu creature looking thing with Stitch in a sort of a kid-friendly movie. And now you add the fact that it's Star Wars, the biggest franchise in the entire world. To think that it won't make $1 billion is absolutely insane. It's Lilo and Stitch, but better, but bigger. It's bigger. It's better. Ladies and gentlemen, it's too much for Mr. Incredible. It's the Mandalorian and Grogu. And yes, everybody knows Baby Yoda, Grogu. Yeah. Star Wars is viewed totally different by the rest of society. The online space perceives it as perspectives, are what we are all aware of, but most people aren't on YouTube, Reddit, X talking Star Wars. True. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that people on the daily, like me, are talking hours on end about Star Wars. I'm not crazy. Okay, I'm a little crazy, but I'm not that crazy. However, you also have to put into account that Star Wars is the biggest phenomenon of all time. Okay, maybe not of all time, but you know what I mean? Of the last couple 100 years. I mean, the wheel was probably pretty big when it came out, or like, the kitchen knife was probably pretty big. The sword, a gun, probably like I don't know. The pyramid was probably huge when they unveiled that. They were like, check out this pyramid. Some pretty big things in history, but Star Wars, at least cinematically, is the biggest thing of all time. Nothing comes close. Maybe Avengers Endgame, but not to that level. There weren't lines going down the street and beyond, blocks and blocks down the street. Nothing beats it. Nothing. Nothing even comes close. So when you have something like that, which spans across generations, you're not talking just original trilogy fans that are now probably in their 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, depending on how old they were when they went and saw the movie. Now you have fans that are in their 20s and 30s, prequel fans, and you have even younger fans that are in their teens and whatever, that are sequel fans or Mandalorian fans or whatever other fans. So Star Wars spans not only across generations, but it's the biggest thing since sliced bread, maybe since the invention of the wheel. Now, with that being said, it's not something that people talk about on the daily basis. It's not like they're sitting here streaming for 2 hours every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday talking about Star Wars, but it's still something that they all know. Not everybody's sitting there going, let's go watch the Lilo and Stitch movie. The only people that would have any nostalgia for that would be the people like me who grew up watching that original movie that was created in the early 2000s? Late 90s, maybe? When was the first Lilo and Stitch there? You're talking about a one-off movie. I guess they had sequels, but still. A one-off movie being remade into live action versus the biggest franchise on the planet. Everybody knows who Vader is. You go up to anybody who speaks any language, they're going to know, Luke, I am your father. But if you go up to somebody and go, Lilo and Stitch, they'll go, who are you? Who are these people? It's not even comparable in the slightest. Yeah. I feel like a lot of casual fans have thought that a lot of recent stuff has been mediocre at best. Sure. I also would argue that a lot of people haven't seen it. Because as I mentioned at the very beginning of this live stream when we were talking about the video games side of Star Wars, it's not what normie fans watch. They also don't watch the Clone Wars. Does that make it bad? No. But movies is where you draw the normie fans back in. The box office is where Star Wars succeeds. 4 of the 5 Star Wars movies have made, in the Disney era, have made $1 billion. And when we looked at the adjusted for inflation thing for Star Wars, 10 of the 12 movies, and that includes the Clone Wars movie, made $1 billion. It was just Solo and the Clone Wars movie. 10 of 12. So you think that The Mandalorian, which already has Grogu fans, because everybody in their mom knows who Baby Yoda is, and the fans of the first 3 seasons, which is, by the way, still the biggest, by far, Disney show they have. Not just Star Wars, but Marvel too. By far. You think that movie's not going to make $1 billion? That's crazy. I think the crazy thing would be to say that it makes $2 billion, which I don't think is completely impossible, but it would have to be a big-ass movie. Like, it'd have to be this really, really good movie with twists and turns that people go, you have to go see this movie, and it's rewatchable. That's a big thing. The only way that you're going to make a movie that makes $2 billion is if it's rewatchable. For example, The Force Awakens. There's so many great introductions to characters in that, setups for Rey, Kylo, Finn that you really, really want to know about, Snoke, mystery all over the place, and then you kill off Han Solo. You give this giant mystery of a cliffhanger with Luke Skywalker at the end. That's a very, very rewatchable movie. Take out the fact of what happens after it with The Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker. That Force Awakens movie is very, very rewatchable, and that's why it made $2 billion. Yeah. Are you calling me crazy? Yes, Ron, I am calling you crazy because I know Ron definitely thinks it's going to make $2 billion. I think you're crazy. $2 billion is a stretch. I don't think it's impossible, but it is a stretch. It fully depends on if the movie is rewatchable and really, really good, and the beginning of a new trilogy. Because if it is, then it gets people looking for things to sort of speculate about. For example, Supreme Leader Snoke. Everybody and their freaking, I was going to say mom again, but I don't want to repeat myself. Everybody and their cat was trying to figure out who Snoke is. Even the cats were like, who the hell is this character? Saying it was Plagueis or Mace Windu who survived. Like, there was some really, really crazy theories going around there. And that's what got people going. That's what got the fandom cooking for the years in between those 2 movies. Granted, he ended up turning into nothing, but that's okay. And hopefully the same thing happens with The Mandalorian and Grogu, if it is indeed the beginning of a new trilogy. Yeah. People have less disposable income. They would sooner stream it. Less than 6 months ago? I don't understand. Lilo and Stitch, I'm not talking about the last Star Wars movie. I'm not talking about 6 years ago when Rise of Skywalker dropped. I'm talking about 6 months ago when Lilo and Stitch dropped and it made $1 billion. Yeah. I would like a Snoke drama show directed and starring Andy Serkis. I'd love more Snoke before before The Force Awakens. Absolutely. Him sort of drawing Kylo Ren or Ben Solo to the dark side. That'd be great. I'd be down for that. Maybe Snoke is Grogu. Well, that'd be a pretty big, growth spurt right there. I don't think that's likely. I don't think that's likely. Yeah. My husband and I will see it in theaters, and we have a low income. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's more expensive to go to the movies now, but it's not, like, drastically more expensive than it was a year ago when Deadpool and Wolverine made $1.2 billion, when Lilo and Stitch made $1 billion, when Inside Out made almost $2 billion. Like, movies still make a shit ton of money if they're good, if they're big franchises. Let's put it this way. A lot will be said on how much money Avatar makes. I don't understand what's going on with Avatar. I haven't even seen the second movie still. It's crazy. But the first movie is still the biggest movie of all time. Second movie made $2 billion like it was light work, like no difficulty, 0. And that's really strange to me. I still haven't seen the movie, so I don't really know if it's really good or not. But Avatar, to me, yes, it makes a lot of money in the box office. I don't know a single character's name in those movies. Yes, I know the place is called Pandora, but that's about it. Like, I know nothing about that franchise. When it comes to like a superhero franchise like the MCU or the DC universe, you know Superman, you know Batman, you know Iron Man, you know Spider-Man, you know Captain America, you know Thor. You even know the villains, you know Loki, you know Thanos. When it comes to Star Wars, you know Vader, you know Luke, you know Han, you know Obi-Wan, you know all these characters. Avatar's really a weird one to me, but a lot will be said with how much money this third movie makes. Avatar Fire and Ash comes out this weekend, I think, right? This coming weekend. So if that movie makes another $1 billion or even $2 billion, first of all, it'll blow my mind. I don't understand it at all. It's like an enigma. It's just, I don't know. It's like a glitch in the Matrix. I don't understand it. However, it still makes this shit ton of money. If the third movie makes a lot of money as well, then I'd be like, you really think that the Mandalorian and Grogu is not going to make $1 billion? If Avatar goes 3 for 3 with making $2 billion each time, I mean, what are we even talking about here? Yeah. I've lost nearly all interest in Avatar. I still think they waited too long to start putting out the sequels. I mean, I watched the first one in 2008? 9? When did it come out? 2009? That was 16 years ago. I don't care. I don't even know who these characters are. Zero interest. Zero. Yeah. The Avatar movies to me are the definition of you see them once only in the theaters in 3D glasses with big popcorn M&Ms and you never see it again. I mean, that's not a bad way to look at it. There's a ton of movies that I've only seen once in theaters and that's it. Avatar would likely be one of them as well. I have not seen the second one though, so I don't know. We shall see. But right off the bat, 64% of you do say it will make $1 billion, and that means 36%. My math was not mathing there. Say it won't. I mean, only time will tell. If it does have this similar trajectory of Lilo and Stitch, which Lilo and Stitch sure is pretty big, I'm sure. Not even in the same vicinity, not even in the same universe as Star Wars, literally, in a different galaxy completely, but not even in the same vicinity as Star Wars in terms of popularity amongst the population, then it's going to easily make $1 billion. The struggle will be to make 2. That's my thoughts on it. But Mando trailer possibly coming this week. I doubt it will have much new footage. It'll likely just be the public release of the Zootopia 2 trailer. And as time gets closer to this Mando movie, we'll be talking about how much money it makes. We'll be putting bets on it. 100%. Yeah. So there's that. Now let's talk about what Daisy Ridley had to say. Because she has finally opened up about this whole Hunt for Ben Solo movie. Now, let's talk about this because it's cooled off a little bit. It's been about a month and a half, give or take, since Adam Driver has revealed to us that there is a Hunt for Ben Solo movie that was in development for over 2 years. Dave, not Dave, what's his name? Soderbergh? Something Soderbergh? Justin Soderbergh? No. What's Soderbergh's first name? I don't recall. Either way, Soderbergh was on board to an Oscar-winning director on board to direct. Steven, thank you. Oh my God. Steven Soderbergh was on board to direct. They spent $3 million to write a script that was fully completed, and they were ready to shoot, and then they pitched it. Oh, by the way, Dave Filoni loved it. Kathleen Kennedy loved it. Lucasfilm loved it. They pitched it to Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, who is now on the way out, by the way. And they said no. They couldn't believe how Ben Solo could still be alive, which is, of course, ironic. Now, this is Daisy Ridley's take on all of this, because Daisy Ridley is still coming back as Rey in the Rey movie. Now, that Rey movie has not started filming. It has not gotten a release date, and it's sort of in this limbo land of development. However, she still is coming back to play Rey. That Rey movie will still be happening as long as we hope and dream it comes true. Now, Yes, $3 million for the script. It's the most they've ever spent on a script for a Star Wars movie. Yeah. Crazy times. Yeah. Okay, so let's read this. This is what Daisy Ridley had to say about it. I knew a piece of it. I heard rumblings. Star Wars' Daisy Ridley reacts to Adam Driver's Hunt for Ben Solo movie and fan campaigns that are trying to save it. There's been a lot of chatter over the last 7 weeks since Adam Driver dropped a bombshell to the Associated Press that he'd spent the last few years developing a Hunt for Ben Solo movie. You got to kind of cast your mind back now, because you almost forget that people thought that Adam Driver hated his time at Star Wars. They thought he was like Harrison Ford. He hated being in Star Wars. He thought he never wanted to come back. And now, it's not only that he wanted to come back, but he spent multiple years trying to push this movie to happen where he would be the star and his character would return. Wild. So people kind of forget what the time was before this, where everybody thought he didn't want to come back. We were talking about Daisy Ridley coming back and John Boyega coming back, but everybody's like, nah, Adam's probably not coming back. His character is dead and he doesn't want to come back. It's probably for the best. He doesn't want to come back. Whatever. And now it's completely the opposite. He's the one of all these characters, of all the actors, that wants to come back the most. Shocking. The Lucasfilm approved, but Bob Iger nixed direct follow-up to The Rise of Skywalker was confirmed by attached director Steven Soderbergh. Come on, chat. Try to keep up. It's Steven. And on multiple occasions, the fan base has hired planes to do flyovers over Walt Disney's lot in Burbank to rally support and put billboards up in Times Square and put up missing poster signs of Ben Solo all over the place. They've just done a million different things. Up until now, one voice that hasn't weighed in yet is actress Daisy Ridley. Rey, who would likely be in the movie, who plays Rey in the latest Star Wars trilogy. She's always been in Star Wars feature. She's also been, in Star Wars feature development limbo. Oh, that's what I said. Since her character's film was announced at Star Wars Celebration in 2023. But I recently spoke with Daisy Ridley for her upcoming zombie drama titled We Bury the Dead, which releases on January 2nd of 2026. That's an interesting release date. The day after New Year's Eve, or the day after New Year's, I guess. That's pretty weird. And asked her whether she knew about the Hunt for Ben Solo, which the fandom had surmised, not summarized, would include her character to come, to some capacity, I believe that's supposed to say, due to Ben Solo and Rey's dyad status. There's a million different ways to bring Ben Solo back from the dead, the world between worlds, whatever. But the dyad, the fact that these two have a connection that we've never seen before in the Star Wars universe, that alone could have brought him back from the dead. We don't know. We don't know. Ron, I appreciate it. Safe travels. No worries. Okay. So, here's what Daisy Ridley had to say. I knew a piece of it. I heard rumblings Daisy shared of her reaction to Driver's news. I have lots of friends who are crew, so things always travel like that. But wow. When the story came out, I was like, oh my God. And it was him that said it, right? Of course, him being Driver, who was notoriously quiet about all things outside of formal press junkets. He's a very quiet guy. She continues to say, it was funny because, oh wow, Adam is saying that? And the big surprise, and that's the biggest surprise of the year, she laughs. You got to assume that these two had some sort of communication off screen. They have telephones. Have you ever heard of this invention? It's this weird thing that, I have one right here. You see, it's like a sort of a rectangle. And you carry it around with you places, and you can contact pretty much anybody around the world, instantaneously. It's really, really crazy stuff. Pretty new and innovative too. Wild. So I believe that both of them, Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver, have one of these telephone telephone devices and are able to communicate with each other. So it makes sense that Daisy Ridley would already have some sort of information about this, have heard of it, and probably was in talks to play a role in the movie. Because Daisy, or Rey, would be in the Ben Solo movie. Let's be honest. Not a Fed with a very generous $2 haul says burger jalapeno. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand.
I got a bad feeling about this.
See, every time you say it, I feel like it's something bad, but I don't know. So, I believe that Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver have already had conversations about this. I think she's playing coy with this idea, and she was already in talks to be in it. But let's keep reading. With Star Wars fans' discourse, especially about the sequel trilogy, always being very, very, very divisive, especially when it comes to the last two in the trilogy, Daisy Ridley said, witnessing the outsized reaction has been heartening. It is pretty wild when you think about the backlash that the sequel trilogy got for all those years. It's really crazy to think that the thing that people have gotten behind, that they've backed up, is a post-sequel continuation of sequel characters. It's wild. So, she goes on to say this. I do love when there is a collective of positivity. This is the best part of all this. It really is. Not a Fed with another generous $2 haul says, nuh-uh. I don't get it. Am I supposed to understand what that means? What are we talking about here, chat? Where was I? I do love when there's a collective of positivity. This is what's best. The best part about this whole Hunt for Ben Solo thing is the fact that a portion of the Star Wars fandom, a pretty large portion of the Star Wars fandom, can come together behind one positive thing. Usually it's been about hate. Hate for The Acolyte, hate for The Last Jedi, hate for the sequel trilogy, retcon this, retcon that, cancel this. That's not real Star Wars. It's always negative. It's really cool when something like this comes up, the Hunt for Ben Solo, and the Star Wars fandom can be positive and come behind a good idea, which is really great to see. She said about the consensus of everyone who seems to want the Hunt for Ben Solo to happen. She goes on to say, the way the internet seems to have rallied to try to get this to happen. I think, one, it's fantastic for us all. It's good for us to all be united about something in a really positive way. Obviously, everyone knows he was a very popular character, Kylo Ren that is, but it was also lovely to think, wow, people really, really care and want this, something sequel related. I just like it. I like when people join forces. Excuse the pun. Get it? Forces? Okay, this is getting weird now. Not a Fed with a very generous $2 haul again says, "Why did she leave me?" Okay, let's dive deep into this one. She probably thought you were a Fed. Let's be honest. She probably thought you were a Fed, and your name is not a Fed. Your username is Vader's nose hair. So maybe the hair got a little, annoying. Why did she leave you? I don't know, man. I don't know. April with a very generous $5 haul says, love Adam and Daisy. # save the Hunt for Ben Solo. I appreciate that quite a bit. Yeah. Two incredible actors that will both want to come back to Star Wars. Are we missing something? Okay. She goes on to say, excuse the pun, from all around the world, all different sorts of people. I just love that the Star Wars fandom is such a huge and glorious array of different points of views and different people. And the fact that everyone is really behind this thing, I think, is sort of lovely. In a time where that is so effing nuts for probably every single person on Earth, I think it's wonderful. So I was surprised. And honestly, I felt joyful about how it went down. Now, she brings up some pretty great points. The world is always crazy. It's crazy times now. It's going to be crazy times tomorrow. It was crazy times yesterday. It was crazy times 100 years ago. It's going to be crazy times in 100 years from now. It's a crazy world we live on. That's, of course, always been the case. I just saw something earlier today that it rained for 1 million straight years on the Earth. Now, granted, humans weren't around yet, but still, wild times. So it's always been a crazy time on this planet. But when it comes to now, when it comes to the last 50 years, I guess 48, when it comes to the last 48 years, there's always been this escape for so many millions and millions of people in the world, this escape of the galaxy far, far away. The creation of George Lucas's mind, this literal fantasy land that could possibly be real because the galaxy far, far away a long, long time ago. But it's this escape from the real world. All the chaos, all the crazy times, all that stuff. The fact that it can be an escape. And to circle that all back 48 years later to this idea of the hunt for Ben Solo. And the idea that these fans who, again, in this crazy time in the world, can come behind this one thing, this escape from reality. It's really, really cool. It is crazy that, we live in this world where I'm sitting here talking about Star Wars on a Tuesday at 3:22 p.m. and it's like just fun, and we're having fun, and it's fun. But the fact that in 1977, I'm sure George Lucas wasn't like, oh yeah, Mike, he'll definitely be talking about Star Wars in 48 years from now on a live stream where people just tune in and talk, and the people who love Star Wars are thriving, and we're talking about the hunt for Ben Solo, and it's the grandfather of Vader, and sure, that's exactly what George Lucas intended to happen. But either way, Daisy Ridley is fully on board. She plays very, she doesn't give much away. Let's put it that way. She doesn't confirm nor deny if she was involved with the movie at all. And she just says it's great to see all the fans coming together, which is right. In a fandom that's so divided, it's great to see that something, if even so crazy as a sequel spinoff, can bring the people together. It's really, really cool to see. Yeah. So, that's what Daisy Ridley had to say about it. Let's actually put up a poll. Let's put up a poll. By the way, 69% of you, nice. 68%, damn it. 68% of you think the Mandalorian and Grogu will make $1 billion. I could not agree with you more, but let's put up this poll. Do you still want the hunt for Ben Solo? Yes or no? Do you still want it? Not do you still think we'll get it, but do you want it? Whether we'll get it or not is a completely different question. I think we will get it. It will just take a couple more years, or maybe not a couple more years to announce it, but at least a couple more years to make it because of Bob Iger and Alan Bergman. Those two, I think, are on their way out the door. At least Bob Iger, his contract is up next year, and he will be retiring again. So he'll be retiring, and the guy who is rumored to be replacing him is Josh something. I don't remember his name. Does anybody in the chat know? Chat? Either way, I think you're going to see a big shift over at Disney, and Lucasfilm was already on board. So all you have to do, if you're Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni and Lucasfilm themselves, is pitch the exact same thing, exact same script, Soderbergh, Driver, all that greatness, hunt for Ben Solo, and now you have the backing of Star Wars fans. So now you have even more ammunition, and then you walk right into the new CEO's office and you go, hey, look, there's this great idea that we have never been pitched before, or you say that it was pitched before and it was canceled, or you don't and you lie and you're like, hey, look at this great idea we just came up with 2 seconds ago. And then he goes, oh, this is a great idea. And then it happens. So I think there's going to have to be a change of leadership first before this does happen, but I still think it will. It just will take some time. It's going to take some time to realize. How many of those have I done this stream? A lot, actually. Just quoting random shit and seeing if you guys recognize it. Josh Tomorrow. Is that his name? Okay. April with a very generous $5 holla says, thank you, Mike. I love your show because of your positivity. Well, April, you know what? I don't like your show because of your That doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. I wanted to be mean, but I didn't want to be too mean. And I didn't want to be mean at all because I don't like being mean. God! Okay, where was I? I appreciate that, April. I really, really do. I'm not positive. You're positive. I'm killing off Din Djarin. Sorry, I had to say it at least once a stream, so I had to get it in there somehow. Yeah. Will we ever find out Han Solo's real last name? No. Han Solo's last name is Solo. He doesn't have one. But yes, that name was given to him by the Empire. Which, by the way, me and Sam did finish Solo. We did finish Kenobi, and now we're on to Rebels, which is awesome because Rebels is my favorite. And I told her about the animation change. I told her about, how great this show is, and I was worried about her being like, this animation's weird, because she loved the animation of the Bad Batch, and then she loves it. So we're only 3 episodes in, but still, it's great. Why did I bring that up? Oh yeah, Solo, because I was like, yeah, this was a big problem for a lot of fans. This was how Han Solo got his last name. She was like, what do you mean? It makes sense. Like, he doesn't have a last name. This Imperial officer gives him a last name because he has to have one, Yeah. Did Sam enjoy Solo? Yeah, she loved it. She loved it because the twists and turns to the end. When they go into Dryden Voss's yacht, she's like, I had no idea what was going to happen. I think she talked about this when she was on the live stream last week. Yeah. You're killing Din Djarin off positively? Exactly. Din Djarin has to die for the betterment of the story, Yeah. Mike's positive because he's a shill. Exactly. 100%. No, 1,000,000%. Yeah. Dave with a 10-month membership. Holy crap, that's insane. I appreciate that quite a bit. 10 months is wild. All right, there was something else I wanted to get. Oh, yeah. All right, let's take a look at this. So Andor has been in the news lately, which is crazy because, it's over. But Andor has been in the news lately because it's getting nominated for all these awards, specifically Diego Luna. And what I did see was that Diego Luna is nominated for, I think, a Golden Globe, maybe. And it's the first Star Wars actor since Alec Guinness in the original Star Wars to be nominated for that award, which is really, really crazy. But I did see this. As 2025 is coming to an end, you're going to see a lot of best of 2025s, all that great stuff. When we get closer to the end of the year, we're definitely going to do a live stream where we rank all of 2025's Star Wars projects and just, I guess, talk about 2025 as a whole and how good a year it was for Star Wars specifically, and then predict how 2026 is going to look. But this is the best TV shows of 2025, and shout out to Justin for sending this to me. Best TV shows of 2025. This is coming from Variety. This is their list. Let's see if we agree with this. Andor probably being the only Star Wars show that would be on this, because I doubt that Rebuild the Galaxy Season 2 would, or Visions Volume 3. Maybe, but I'm sure Andor will. But where do you think Andor will be on this list? Top 10. I'm hoping number 1, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out. So, this says, from a vast array of options, Variety TV critics of these two, Allison and Armand, maybe, have selected their 10 favorite shows. So it's just from these 2 people. All right. Oh, wait. No, it's 2 different people's lists. This one and then that one. Okay, so we got 2 lists. At number 10. At number 10, we have Murda, Death of the Family. Like, murder? Is it weird that I've never heard of these shows? Like, have you guys heard of these shows? I've not heard of this. Okay, continuing. The Gilded Age. Again, not only do I not recognize it from this picture, I've never heard of this show. but maybe it's just me. Untamed on Netflix. Never heard of it. 1,000 Blows. Unbelievable pause, but never heard of it. But it's from Stephen Knight, so it should be pretty good, right? Peaky Blinders. Outlander. I think I have heard of that. Outlander sounds very familiar, but I've not seen these two people. At number 5, It. Welcome to Derry. Oh, they made an It spin-off show. See, I didn't even know that. Am I just so out of it? I'm too in Star Wars land that I don't know about this? Has anybody seen any of these? All right, we're in the top 5. Paradise. I have heard of Paradise. I've not seen it, but I've heard of it. And I've heard it's good. 3, Forever. Okay, so Andor's in the top 2 at least, unless it's not on the list at all, which would be disastrous. Never heard of Forever. Number 2, The Pit. I have heard of The Pit. It won a ton of awards. I have not seen it, but I've heard of it. It's a hospital drama thing. That means number 1 must be Andor, right? Are we serious? It's not even on the list? What? What is going on here? Of the top 10 here, I knew of 2. Haven't seen any, but I've knew of 2. All right, let's go to this other list and hope it's a lot better. Allison, You're Our Only Hope. So far, so good. The Studio. I have seen The Studio, and it's really funny and really good. So that's a good start to the list. Good start. Pluribus should be higher. This show is fantastic. Number 9. Love it. 2 for 2. Allison's list, 1,000 times better. Here we go. The Gilded Age. Never heard of it. Okay, continuing. The Lowdown. I have heard of that. Never seen it, but I have heard of it. Probably because, what's his name? This guy right here. What's his name? That Ethan Hawke. Yes, Ethan Hawke. Yeah, he's in Moon Knight. Okay. 6. Everyone's Live with John Mulaney. Oh, yes, I have heard of that too. I didn't know it came out this year, but sure. Righteous Gemstone. The name sounds familiar, but I've never heard of it or seen it. Okay, continuing. Dying for Sex. Odd name. Put it there. Odd name. 3, The Pit. Okay, here we go. Andor better be 1 or 2 here. The story short. Long story short. What am I looking at here? What is this? This list started pretty damn good. Pluribus. The Studio. If Andor's not number 1, we got a problem. I'm actually kind of scared. Oh, thank God. Okay, so Andor's number 1. Allison with the save. This is a little better, I suppose. So let me rank my top 10, okay? Have I even watched 10 shows this year? Well, we're going to find out. Here's my top 10. Starting at number 10. No, I can't do that. Starting at number 1, because I don't even know if I know 10 shows that came out this year. Starting at number 1, I'm going Andor. At number 2, I'm going Severance, because I haven't watched all of Pluribus yet. So Severance. 3, I'm going Pluribus, even though it's not over yet. 4, I'm going Stranger Things, even though it's not over yet. I just finished episode 4 yesterday, and oh my God, it's so good. 5, I'll go The Studio. The Studio is really funny and really good. I guess I can only do top 5 because I don't even know if I've watched 5 other shows this year. At least new shows. Yeah, Severance not being on either of these lists makes them completely incredible. Uncredible. Not incredible. Two very different words. But the fact that that's not on either of these is blasphemy and absolutely sad. They probably should be fired. But okay, maybe let them keep their jobs, but they need something called taste. Yeah. I do want to, we don't have much Ahsoka Season 2 news today, but I do want to take a look at this because we looked at all the enhanced concept art images from Ahsoka Season 2, but we haven't looked at this one yet, so take a look at this. This is the General Grievous Huge Wang versus Shin Hati. So this is the two images combined with Ahsoka's ship behind them. I don't know what's going on here. Like, Shin is such a question mark for season 2. That's really, really cool. So I'm hoping that this second season, that whatever Shin is up to in this second season is really, really cool. I know a lot of people think she looks like Abeloth. I do too, and I hope she becomes the living embodiment of Abeloth at some point. But either way, this showdown, Grievous Huyang versus Shin Hati, is going to be awesome. Question: who wins this fight? And at first you'd be like, duh, it's obviously Shin Hati. But wait a second. You're talking about a droid that's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, has trained Jedi with lightsabers, how to make them, all that stuff. But he's also trained with lightsabers. He's training Sabine in season 1. I think Shin wins it, but it's not as easy as you'd think. And Huyang has 4 lightsabers. It's 4-on-1. So yeah, Shin has the Force. Yes, she has a lightsaber, but he's got 4 and doesn't have the Force. It's like Grievous versus Obi-Wan. You'd think it would be Obi-Wan easy because Grievous doesn't have the Force, but he's still got 4 lightsabers. He's still got the training. And so does Huyang. I don't know. Who are we taking? Who are we taking, chat? Shin or the droid? Huge Wang always wins. Interesting. I'm seeing a lot of people taking Huyang here. If this scene doesn't open with Shin Hati saying hello there and Huyang saying General Shin Hati, then I'm turning off my TV. I'm boycotting Ahsoka season 2. If it doesn't start like this.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
It's a 0 out of 10. A 0 out of 10. Can I get some good cups full of orders in the chat, please? Bum, bum. It's going to go through all those super chats again. That's annoying. Mute that for a second. I wonder if Dave Filoni did something along that for season 2. I mean, it's kind of hard to not when you have this perfect setup right here. Like, it's the perfect setup. This looks like unused concept art from season 1. Shin versus Sabine showdown near the ship, and then they would have cut Huyang coming to help Sabine instead of Sabine throwing the smoke bomb and running away. The smoke bomb running away. Oh, the fight in the forest you're talking about? That wasn't really near their ship, though. No, this is definitely concept art for season 2. This was shown at Star Wars Celebration this year. In that, like, sizzle reel that they did. Yeah. Indeed. Okay. In other news, there was something else I wanted to get to. Oh. StarWars.com did post this featurette thing about, yeah. Whoa, hang on. This little thing is about 3 minutes long, so let's take a look at this. It's John Williams. How can you not get enough of John Williams? But let's see. Wait, where is it? Where is it? Oh, did they just... Hang on. What? Oh, okay. So in the celebration for The Force Awakens 10-year anniversary, StarWars.com shared a featurette of... I see. All right, here we go. Take a look at this. How Rey's theme kept John Williams coming back to the Star Wars galaxy. Honestly, one of the most underrated themes in Star Wars, probably because the sequels get a lot of hate. But still, Jeannie from Tahini, what's up? How we doing? The Rey's theme is extremely underrated. As we mark the 10-year anniversary of The Force Awakens, which premiered on December 18th, 2015, StarWars.com looks back at the film that launched the sequel trilogy. So, yeah, this is what I was looking for. Oh, wait, what? That's pretty cool. Sorry, I got distracted. All right, let's watch this.
30 some odd years after Star Wars. To do number 7, I felt, very happy to be able to continue adding to this glossary of themes. JJ did speak to me about the feeling we would all want to have that this is Star Wars.
All we need is John Williams, and then there's Don.
And particularly connected, if we could, to the earlier films. We have Leia and we have Han and Luke revisited here. There are references to earlier thematic connections between characters and music and so on. And that seemed a very natural thing to do. And combine it with new melodic material for the new characters. Rey, her theme has a musical grammar that is not heroic in the sense of a hero's theme. It's kind of an adventure theme that maybe promises more than resolving itself in the most major, triumphant resolutions. When we first meet her, she's been alone, she's without her parents. I felt a lot of empathy for that girl. And I think Rey's theme needs to illustrate that.
Before they get to Kylo's theme, it can never be said enough. Without John Williams, Star Wars is not what it is. Yes, it's still a good story. It's good, whatever. But without John Williams, it's not what it is today. It's not why the Mandalorian and Grogu will make $1 billion. Yes, John Williams is not scoring that movie, but still, it's what he did before, which created the great theme that Ludwig came up with for the Mandalorian. So, without John Williams, Star Wars isn't what it is today. And he made some peak stuff over and over and over again. It's not like he went 1 for 1 and then the rest of the stuff is kind of okay. After he does A New Hope, he makes the Imperial March in The Empire Strikes Back. Then he makes, of course, more themes, whatever. Leia's theme is, that's all in the first movie. The best, I argue, the thing that makes me feel the most when I'm watching Star Wars is Empire Strikes Back, when Yoda takes the X-Wing out of the swamp. My TV volume can't go high enough for me to be satisfied. Like, that is the greatest climb ever. But that's besides the point. The prequel trilogy comes around, he's writing Duel of the Fates. He's writing all these crazy other things. Then it comes to the sequel trilogy, and he writes Rey's theme and Kylo's theme, 2 of the greatest themes ever created, and here's Kylo's.
I approached the task of Kylo Ren really just as an extension of Darth Vader in a way.
Show me again the power of the darkness.
And I didn't want to get too close to it. But if it could convey in a few short notes, as the Imperial March does, this evil power, strength, threat.
I mean, think about it. All Kylo Ren's theme is ba 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 ba. I can't go that low. Sorry, chat. But you know what I understand. It's 5 notes. Wait, ba 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 ba. 5 notes. That's it. And it's so good.
It needs to be something that will hit you and is accessible right away.
1M1, take 756.
When we recorded the opening and closing of the very first Star Wars film, I didn't have any idea there would be a second one. None of us had any idea that we'd ever hear the music again. When we played the music with the orchestra at the beginning and the end, it was a celebratory moment for them and for me and JJ. It was like visiting an old friend.
So good. So there you have it, the 10-year anniversary little featurette thing. I'm sure they'll be doing a lot more of that since the 10-year anniversary is the 18th of this month, and it's still only the 9th. So expect more of that 10-year anniversary celebration stuff, I'm sure, from StarWars.com and Lucasfilm on just online everywhere, I guess. But as we get closer and closer to that December 18th date, because 10 years, it's insane. It's been 10 years since The Force Awakens, honestly. But still crazy times. John Williams is indeed the GOAT. 100%. But with that being said, interesting. Actually, before we get on out of here, I'm just seeing this thing right here, and I'm very intrigued to see what you guys think of this. Shout out to Will from Will of the Force, longtime friend of the channel, and I've been on his channel actually before. Before I even show you guys that, he's given the top 20 droids in Star Wars of all time. Top 20. It's pretty impressive. Thoughts? What are you guys' top 3? Let's go top 3 droids in Star Wars. For me, up there has to be Chopper. Maybe at 1. I don't know. R2-D2, of course, because he's iconic. C-3PO, yes, he's iconic, but I don't see him as a top 3. I'd probably go R2 and Chopper, definitely. Then you maybe got to think of like K2SO, maybe. BB-8, maybe. I don't know. That's really tough. You guys tell me in the chat. Top 3 droids in Star Wars. And as you do, let's take a look at Will's top 20 here. Top 20. Going down from the bottom. We'll go at number 20, R5, of course. R5 getting a huge upgrade recently in The Mandalorian Season 3 and will be on the big screen in The Mandalorian. Whoa. R5 will be on the big screen in 2026. 49 years after making his premiere in A New Hope. That's crazy. R5 is the droid that has a bad motivator. Uncle Owen. He's the one who has a bad motivator, and they have to swap him out. That's crazy. So he's in the original Star Wars in 1977, and now he's coming back to Star Wars. Hang on. Star Wars posted something 20 minutes ago. Hang on, chat. We'll go back to this post in 1 second. Star Wars posted something. Oh. They posted this. What's your go-to holiday snack? Caltooine patty frogs? Blue milk or Navarro nummies? What are we talking about here? I don't know what these other two are. So I'm going to go with blue milk. Nice. Okay, back to our list here. Back to the list. But R5 is going to be back on the big screen for the first time in 49 years. That's hilarious. Okay, number 19 is AP5 from Rebels. Nice, love that. Gonky from The Bad Batch. Gonky's pretty good. Doesn't really do much. AZ1 definitely does a lot more in The Bad Batch for sure. IG-11. Oh, wait, IG-11 or IG-88? Which is the one from The Mandalorian? 11 or 88? If this is the one for The Mandalorian, I think he's too low. Toto. Toto's great just because Cad Bane, but, you know. R3? R3X. I'm not recognizing him by his name. Hang on. R3X. Oh, Rex from Galaxy's Edge. Okay, yes. I was like, R3X? It's Rex. All right, Rex from Galaxy's Edge, sure. B2 from Andor. That's pretty good. Maybe a little bit higher for him. Chopper at 12? Will. Chopper? At 12? IG-11 is the one in Mando? Okay. So then he's too low. Chopper at 12 is crazy work. Proxy 11, okay. BB-8, I don't know if there's an and sign for a reason, but BB-8 at 10, pretty good. A B-1 battle droid, okay, all of them, nice. B-2 should be on here then too. Droidicas, if we're doing that. SM-33 from Skeleton Crew, love that. SM-33, At number 8, gotta love that. Ugh. L3, 37 from Solo. That'd be a little bit higher for me. Or, I mean, a little lower for me. He has a little bit higher than I do. HK47. HK47. Hang on. HK47. Not picturing him in my head. As we were just talking about him today. Or I guess we weren't talking about him specifically, but as we were talking about the Knights of the Old Republic today. Yes, of course, HK47. I'd have him in my top 10, maybe, but lower. C-3PO, valid. BD-1, I didn't even think of BD. BD-1 is Cal Kestis' droid, of course. K-2SO, nice. Hu Yang, I would not have him this high, but love it. Hu Yang. And R2-D2. Pretty solid list from Will right there. The only problem I have would be Chopper. Even Chopper would be upset about this one. But other than that, pretty solid list. Is he missing anyone? That's sort of the question. I can't think of any off the top of my head. Anybody big, at least. Yeah, I'm not thinking of anybody. Where is Cassian's first droid? B2? He's right here. B2, number 13. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So what are our top 3s? Let me scroll up here and check them out. R2, C-3PO, and BB-8, nice. R2, Hu Yang, and Chopper, nice. Chopper, R2, K2, nice. R2, C-3PO, and K2. K2 gets a lot of love. That's awesome. Obviously, he's in Rogue One and Andor now, but still, you get very little of that character, and he's quickly a beloved character. R2, Chopper, C-3PO, nice. R2, K2, and BB-8, nice. Chopper and everybody else is in distant second. Valid. Valid. Yeah. So pretty much similar ones, I suppose. Number 6 is Droidekas. Oh, I see. Yeah. All right. Let me end this poll, which, by the way, 75% of you still do want the Hunt for Ben Solo movie, so we love to see that with 64 votes. The math is mathing. That's crazy. You want a cup of Jawa juice? Oh, yeah. What's her name? The droid from Dexter Jester's Cantina? No, not Cantina. Diner? The diner on Coruscant? You want a cup of Jawa juice? What's that one's name? That's a great one. That's a great poll right there. All right, but with that, I do have to get on out of here. So smash a freaking like on this stream if you have not already. Hit that subscribe, hit that bell, get notified. You know the deal. Her name is just Waitress Droid. Dang. I hope she has a name. Actually, let's look it up. Waitress Droid Attack of the Clones. Flo. I knew it was something like that. Flo, F-L-O, also known as WA-7 or Wanda. Huh, that's pretty good. Flo, that's great. All right, but with that being said, smash a freaking like on this stream if you have not already. Hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. In my pretty face will show up with a recommended feed of yours. Watch it for a short in about an hour, as per usual. And yeah, this was quite the live stream, if I do say so myself. Gotta love it. Gotta love talking about, Thursday being the big week, a big day of the week this week with the Game Awards. We're going to hopefully get some KOTOR stuff going on up there. If not, then maybe some Jedi 3 or possibly, if we're lucky, some Battlefront 3. Battlefront 3. That's right. I'm so used to being wrong. However, with that being said, I do have to get on out of here. So I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. Smash a freaking like in the stream. And yeah, may the force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. I mean, this was quite the lot. We went all over the place, from video games to Mandalorian to Ahsoka Season 2 to Andor to David Cornsweet coming to Star Wars to The Hunt for Ben Solo. It's nice when a show is coming out because all we talk about is that specific show. For example, like Andor Season 2 is coming out earlier this year. All we talked about was Andor Season 2 for a long, long time. But when we have the chance to talk about just a million different things all at the same time or one after the other, it's pretty great. We even started to talk about random stuff, like, how just random stuff. I start quoting The Incredibles or like anything else. Did anybody get my Incredibles reference earlier? I don't know. But until next time, hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.